What's the most mind-blowing fact you heard read in your life? There are more atoms in a single glass of water than glasses of water in all the oceans of the earth. From the BBC series Atom. In 1903 the Wright brothers flew for 59 seconds. 38 years later the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. 28 years after that, we landed on the moon. We went from gliding a few feet off the ground for less than a minute to launching rockets out of orbit. Traveling for hundreds of thousands of miles. Landing on the moon. And then returning. All within a single lifetime. I learned that a blue whale's heart is the size of a VW Beetle and that you could swim through some of its arteries. That's absolutely terrifying. At first thought, I think, oh, neat. What a great diameter. But then I think about it more. I think about being inside that vein. It's a tight space. I can fit inside it. I'm trapped. And there is no air. Just a thick warm sludge pumping to and fro. It's completely black. And then I start panicking. But how could I even know what to do? How could anyone end up inside a whale's vein? That's when the whale died of cardiac arrest. And I am reminded of how helpless the situation is. The whale's heart beats its last beat. There are more fake flamingos in the world than real flamingos. Same with garden gnomes. The adult human has 2 to 9 pounds of bacteria in his or her body. Every day, you consume more bacterial cells than there are human cells in your system. You have been infected and invaded by more pathogens than you could count in one lifetime. Your body has fought 10 trillion battles without your knowledge and the fact that you are sitting in front of your computer. Reading this post means that you have won every single one. My body would own the FCK out of Sun TZU. Either we are alone in the universe or not. I did electrical engineering in college so I might be a bit biased. But the fact that we sent a little metallic object with jets on it into space 33 years ago called Voyager I is now approximately 10.5 billion miles from Sun and is currently known to be in a space just outside our solar system. What is mind-blowing is that we send little electrical signals to it from our home planet Earth. Like change trajectory or take a picture. The fact that those 1s and 0s cross the interstellar space and reach our spacecraft tells me that human beings are amazing. To me, Voyager I shows our mastery over universe. Whenever I think about Voyager I, a lonely object made up of steel and aluminum jetting in vast expanse of unknown frontier billions and billions of miles away. I'm in awe. Yet the second I leave my apartment, I can't access my Wi-Fi network anymore. From Wikipedia. A total of 165,000 tons of gold have been mined in human history. As of 2009. 1. This is roughly equivalent to 5.3 billion troy ounces or, in terms of volume, about 8,500 cubic meters. Or a 24 meters cube. TL. DR. All of the gold mined in the history of the world would more or less fit into a 20x20x20 meter cube. Welp. There goes my dream of creating a solid gold full-scale model of my penis. Nice try. Cash for gold. VY Canis Majoris, Big Dog, is the largest known star to man. 1 billion of our suns could fit in it. It is 4,900 light years away from Earth. It's also still in our galaxy. This huge fking object is so far away from us that we could never hope to reach it with a probe in the next few tens of thousands of years. Present technology. But it is still in our galaxy. We haven't even scratched the surface of understanding the magnitude of our universe. I don't think our brains are capable of comprehending the immense nature and how little we know. Planck's length. The width of a human hair. The width of a human hair. The diameter of the observable universe. Duck Hunt is 2-player. Controller in Port 2 controls the ducks. Each ejaculation has more sperm than there are people in the United States. The common explanation is that more sperm equals more likely to impregnate. But that's just not true. It only takes one sperm to bond with an egg and make a baby. And a good chunk of the sperm ejaculated into a woman either falls out of the woman or doesn't bother pursuing her egg. So what's up with that? The reason is because of a concept called sperm competition. The purpose of sperm isn't necessarily to impregnate women. The purpose of sperm is just to be present inside the woman's vagina and make sure sperm of another man isn't there. If the sperm of another man is present, the billions of cumulative sperm between the two men fight it out using the acidic tips attached to their heads. Sperm competition is something that amazingly happens in most species. Anyway, I think this concept is completely crazy and has tons of implications about sexual behavior. That when you look up at the sky, you are not seeing the stars in their present state. When you look at anything, you're not seeing it in its present state, only some past state. The feeling of hunger is not your body demanding food. It's your stomach changing its physical form in anticipation of food. Eating is actually extremely taxing on the body. If we took a single E. coli bacterium from your gut and gave it perfect conditions of temperature, nutrient availability and so on, it would have a doubling time of 20 minutes. So you'd start with 1. And after 20 minutes, you'd have 2. After 40 minutes, you'd have 4. Overnight, you'd have more than 1 million. In rather less than 3 weeks there would be enough bacteria to cover the entire planet to the depth of 1.5 feet. An hour later, and it would be over our heads. Within rather less than 2 months the ball of bacteria would be as big as the Earth. Within a few thousand years, if we could suspend physical and universal constraints, the ball of bacteria would be more massive than the visible universe and expanding outward from the point of origin faster than the speed of light. Alcohol is considered a performance-enhancing drug in competitive shooting competitions. Makes sense. I totally headshot more noobs when I've had a few. Half of all humans who have ever lived died from malaria by using a computer and the internet. I am richer than 99% of all humans who have ever lived. You see your nose at all times. Your brain just chooses to ignore it. Some of the giant sequoias in America are over 3,500 years old. When Alexander the Great was conquering the world, they'd already been alive for over 1,000. Every living organism exists to carry out the 15 or so chemical processes of core metabolism. Every living thing on the planet, everything, is just an adaptation of this core process to different environments. There is garbage on the f-king moon. Granny passed away 10 years ago at age 100. When she was born, William McKinley was president. A life spanned the administrations of 18 presidents, ending with President Clinton. When she was born, America was just getting involved in the Spanish-American War with Spain. When she was a young woman and dating my grandfather, she spoke of him renting a Surrey, a fancy horse-drawn carriage to watch the Wright brothers do a flyover at the town cemetery for Decoration Day, a forerunner of Memorial Day. She lived through the Spanish-American War, World War I, sent 3 sons to fight in World War II, sent a son to fight in Korea and Vietnam, and sent a grandson to fight in Desert Storm. She raised 11 children through the Great Depression and taught them the value of hard work. She weighed about 100 pounds soaking wet, but she wasn't someone you wanted to mess with. And she made the best fried apples in the world. I miss her. That chances are very high that 125 years from now, I will not be thought of daily. Just another person who lived on Earth. Unless you pull a Hitler. Infamy gets you remembered. 125 years from now, you might still be alive and well. When doing aerial maneuvers, negative G's are more dangerous than positive G's. Too many positive G's you black out. Too many negative G's you start popping capillaries in your brain, which is called a readout. Not a fun thing to experience. 54 million people alive right now will be dead within 12 months. I don't know if it's the most mind-blowing, But learning that most of matter is just empty space was pretty mind-blowing. Of all the people in history that have reached 65 years of age, half of them are living right now. Martin Sheen's original name was Ramon Estevez. He had 2 sons, Emilio and Carlos. Emilio kept the Estevez, but Carlos changed his name to Charlie Sheen. He changed his stage name to ride the coattails of his father's changed stage name. If you shuffle a deck of cards, chances are that the new order of playing cards has never existed before. Moved. Fold over a piece of paper 42 times and it will reach the moon. So let standard office paper T equals 0032 in. Fold it once is 2T. Twice is 2 circumflex 2, T. 3 times is 2 circumflex 3, T. So, 2N, T with N equals number of folds. That be 2 circumflex 42. 0032 inches, 1 ft slash 12 inches, equals 1. 17e9 ft. The moon is 1. 2e9 ft. That it took thousands of years after domesticating the horse to invent the stirrup. Just think of that. For a good 3,000 years riders just rode with their legs dangling. Inanimate matter, born from exploding stars billions of years ago, can come together in a form that has the capacity to question its own existence. A brain can be blown out of a human skull with just 39. 8c. Mind equals blown. I can confirm this. It's been said before. But if you are a woman and you do not produce a biological daughter, be the first woman in the history of your maternal line to not do so. Think about it. Everyone has a mother. So your mothers, 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 etc. All the way back to the beginning of the 2Ss. Many African American women in Georgia and the Deep South will eat clay when they are pregnant. Seriously. They have an inexplicable and powerful craving for the clay from that region. My friend told me she indulged in her cravings and I didn't believe her until I confirmed this phenomenon with internet searches resulting in a few articles regarding the phenomenon. Oh. And garbanzo beans are the same as chickpeas. What? Yeah. FCK that. Once Charlie Chaplin entered a contest for Charlie Chaplin lookalikes and he came in 3rd. From a cell count standpoint, we are more bacteria than human. But not by biomass. Just something I've thought about. Mostly everything happening inside your body. When your mother was born, she was already carrying the egg that would become you. And since your grandmother at her birth was already carrying the egg that would become your mother. And so on and so forth. It's almost as if a part of you has already been in existence basically since the dawn of humanity. Women control only 3% of the world's wealth while controlling 100% of the world's V-genus. If they actually controlled those V-genus, they'd control more of the wealth. Turns out, there is a South America too. Wait. So like, are you talking about Florida or something? That the Federal Reserve Bank is privately owned. The first time I read about the golden ratio, I had to take a break and just lay in bed for a while. What did you discover about golden ratio? Sadly, many of the claims for it are myths. You replace every particle in your body every 7 years. You are literally not the same person you were 7 years ago. All crisps expire on a Saturday. It was so crazy I had to check. The atoms in our bodies were formed by nuclear reactions in the cores of stars which then went nova and scattered their particles across the galaxy. That college freshmen are currently preparing for careers that don't exist yet. And college seniors. Oh. 95% of Americans believe in angels, aliens or other worldly spirits. 30% of Americans believe the Bible is the little word of God. Girls are almost as horny as guys are. Yet no matter how often this is repeated, There is no evidence of such. Based on the millions of couples currently having the same constant issue of the male wanting to FCK and the female not wanting to FCK, I chalk this fact up to the gender equality movement. Please correct me if there's reasonable proof somewhere that says otherwise. Most dashed lines on highways that separate lanes of traffic are 50 f-king feet apart. I would have guessed about 8-12. Nobody I tell this to believes me. Watch on the highway once and pay attention to how fast they go by. Every one of them is 50 feet. Edit. 2,2. Whoa. Edit 2. This is in Wisconsin at least. I'm not sure about other states. And by 50 feet apart I mean one dash appears every 50 feet. Not that the unpainted space is 50 feet. I've counted them on several occasions to prove to passengers and always got a number damn close to 105/mile. Similarly, the signs along the sides of highways and on overpasses are enormous. Pirates wear eye patches so that they can see in the dark. When they go to a lower deck with poor lighting, they can remove the patch and see better with that eye since it's used to the dark. Whereas the other eye would take several minutes to adjust to the change in light. There are only 2 Jews in Afghanistan. They are brothers and hate each other. Jews as a whole only make up 0.2% of the world's population. Pi written in binary contains every string of information known and unknown to man. This isn't a fact. It resides on knowing that pi is normal. Which is still an open question. This one's a bit existential. The universe is filled with ongoing processes. The earth goes around the sun. Animals are born and die. The seasons come and go. Bacteria multiply then die out. Red blood cells pick up their payload of oxygen at my lungs and distribute it throughout my body. Storms gather and dissipate. Electricity ripples through the brain in my skull. We draw a line around a subset of these processes and define that subset as me. We subjectively decide that some processes are external and the others we refer to as I or me. In reality there is no I. It's all just processes. You don't really exist. A tree is the opposite of your lungs. Physically and functionally. The T-Rex uses its very small arms to tickle its mate while having intercourse. I'm calling BS. That core human values can be systematically engineered with an incredibly high degree of accuracy. Read. If I get you at a young enough age and bombard you correctly with the right resources, I can decide what you like, who you like and what you plan on doing for the rest of your life. You give me a baby chosen at random and I can make him a master at any profession. B.F. Skinner. I believe. Oxygen kills you. The reason why you get degenerative diseases over time is oxidative attacks on your genetic structure that you get from free oxygen species that you get from oxygen. It's also partially responsible for aging. True story. That's like saying living kills you. I was so blown away when I learned that it was impossible to bob your head back and forth while your mouth is open. Well, I just fell for your trap. Very clever, sir. People saw me do it too. Mayonnaise is made from oil and eggs. It blew my mind. And vinegar. Vinegar is super important. 2000 G. W. Bush elected. 2004 G. W. Bush re-elected. The Thai word for the number 5 is pronounced ha with an upward inflection much like a jubilant ha, hence 555 on text is ha ha ha. Their version of ha ha ha. If you fly a Cessna 172 upside down long enough your engine will quit from lack of gas. This is due to the fuel being gravity fed from the tanks and the wings. In normal flight the wings are higher than the engine. If you fly a Cessna 172 right side up long enough your engine will quit from lack of gas. As objects approach the speed of light, time slows. Objects falling into a black hole approach the speed of light. Our entire universe likely exists inside of a black hole. All time that ever existed for our universe has been slowed down to a crawl. That means our entire universe has likely only existed for a fraction of a second, as observed from outside the black hole, and will be over in another fraction of a second. No sarcasm here. How can we know our universe is in a black hole? Either way, pretty freaking awesome.